So for me, I have been working in this industry, in the corporate industry for 16 years. I also started my journey as a speaker back in the days when I started my university. That time, I barely speak because I don't like to connect with people. I rarely like to talk more than 5 minutes because that's actually my limit. But nowadays, we have been doing talks. Like I can do like 2 days marathon, 3 days marathon. But the thing is
Wow.
that it's also about how we turn speech into live stories, and that's what keeps me on going. So I also founded some schools internationally in terms of public speaking, because one day I hope that there is a public speaking university around the world for any individuals who wants to excel in the power of speaking, so that they can connect with different Fortune 500 companies in the future.
Wow. And you just said there that your limit was about 5 minutes. What did you do to push past that boundary? I mean, myself, I used to be someone who was an introvert. And for me, I've had to do a lot of trial and error and a lot of nerve-wracking feelings and try and push through them. But what was it you did yourself?
I think the thing is that the first thing is I need to speak more than 30 seconds. So like 5 minutes is line limit. My minimum is only like 30 seconds. Like I can stand there, like stand rooted for 30 seconds and not speaking anything, because my first thing is to look at people. Introvertedness helps me to look at people around me. So I have to analyze whether this audience, am I able to offend that person? This person, can I make that person laugh? So I have to find and identify different individuals before I dare to start speaking. So that time I start to trust more. I start to break out of my zone and also try different ways that suits me, because everyone has their own speaking styles. So I never really discovered mine until my friends, I did a poll. Like the first time I did is I actually did a poll with 100 friends. What is something special in my speech or in the way that I talk? I interviewed
Mhm.
100 people on the way that I talk. Then I realized that, hey, authentic speaking would be my style. So I just try to focus on that. And I speak more than 5 minutes through that.
Amazing. And so, and then would you say that style and looking at kind of, I guess you say profiling people and profiling your audience then led you to become a TEDx coach and speaker yourself? Or what was the journey to get to there?
I think before I am involved in TEDx, I'm a well-known speaker myself. So I
Yeah,
won the world champion. Like I won a lot of different contests. I joined over like 200 to 300 contests within 10 years. I joined
amazing.
300 contests, like speech contests, there's reading contests, there's poetry contests, there's drama, improv, lots of things that involves speaking. I joined a lot of different things to really test my limits, learn from the others, and also really put myself into different people's shoes. So, and also there are other students or other comparators who ask me like, hey, is there anything that I can challenge myself? I think you're a great speaker. I'm not. Okay, the first thing is like weird, and then I just start to talk with them. And I realized that everyone has their own pattern. And that time I start to think about, hey, there's one common goal that is like, I have to really know my audience first. Like we have the KYA methodologies, know your audience, analyze them, and then also analyze yourself. Once I analyze myself more, I start to realize that my inner voice is on that path. Then I start, hey, just practice more. Then I try different styles in different contests to mix and match. Some I lost very terribly, even can't even make through the first round, but I was experimenting. I was experimenting the crowd. And then that's where I start to uh, develop a lot of different things like cross-cultural communication. Also, like different cultures have different backgrounds and also like different analysis. Some jokes are not well taken in some countries, for example. Some jokes are they all connect with them. So after all and try and errors, then I start to I was noted by different companies, and then that's where some people referred me to TEDx events. So I train around like 80 different TEDx events around the world. I'm still currently training TEDx speakers right now, and it's just that I focus more on the essence of giving, because I got to that stage. I want to pass as a legacy. So yeah.
Amazing. Wow, that sounds incredible. And yeah, just following on from that, so you said there's different cultural aspects of speech. Do you find that there is ever a one size fits all approach?
Actually, it's not. It's really about the experience. Sometimes even when we teach people on terms of cross-cultural communication or like given different types of styles of talks, they have to experiment to find their own comfort zones and also the limit or the we call it bottom line of different cultures, because you have to have practical experience over just theory based. This is the difference between speaking and learning speaking. So we have to actually put the application in place. So there's no one size fits all, but then at least you start with your strength, your inner strength, which is your own speaking style. So I usually analyze different people with speech profiling, customizing, and then where they want to go, and then just take it from there.
Amazing. So yeah, focusing on your TEDx talk, what was it that you spoke about?
I spoke twice, and then I was invited for
Okay.
2 more upcoming. But then I'm still wondering about my schedule actually. For me is that the first one, yeah, I actually designed my TEDx talks differently from all other TEDx speakers. In terms of what style is, I actually create a story between all this linkage. So the first speech, the second speech, and the third speech, like continue on, is the talk itself. It's actually a story. That whole thing. I actually aim to finish 5 TEDx talks by the end of 2026 or something. So I want to create this very unique style of there. So my first talk was about the secrets of perseverance. So for me, I actually experienced quite a lot of different things, like the low end. In my life, I lost quite a lot of different things. I share about loss of beliefs, loss of trust, loss of connections, and then really how I actually step back. So through that preservation wise, just like for example, that currently we're doing online right now. Like when I started online back in 2009, I was one of the first few people. Like at least I'm the first 2 individuals in Asia for sure. That time I was training in terms of online and hybrid trainings. That time we called it as mixed training. Now it becomes hybrid. It changed the names along the way
Yeah.
depending on whether it's frequency wise. Because I was searching for ways that actually maximize or improve the effectiveness of communication. What happens if we stop talking? What happens if we stop connecting or even like stop traveling? So I invested on that one. But the first few months was a horrifying journey. I was being shut down by different companies, wondering why am I wasting my time on this one? Like this is something valuable. I was being laughed as the crazy guy. I was being laughed as like, why are you doing this? You're a waste of space. Like lots of criticisms and stuff like that. But then after which it took a lot of years to craft this art of online speaking and also like hybrid speaking wise. And then when the pandemic strikes, that's where my business grew. So because I've been doing that, everyone knows that I'm the crazy guy who was in this part about the hybrid. And then that's where it actually focused a part of that story itself in my TEDx talk. So I want to actually share that there are some things that you have to keep believing, some things that you have to keep innovating. And then I share 3 different tiny steps that helps them to keep themselves ongoing on this path, the journey, the perseverance. You don't need to work alone. You can work with a couple of people and then push yourself forward. So that's the first one. Now, the second one is a sequel. So the sequel is basically it's mixed with AI technology and also combating mental health and depression. So why is because I really lost quite a lot of stuff. One of the part I actually maximize and continue on that story into my second talk. So the second talk is related to the AI, whereby actually it takes 5 minutes. It just takes 5 minutes of your AI app, and it actually can combat and deters mental health and depression, as long as you know the few basic steps to combat it. And it's not ChatGPT though; it's any apps that actually focus on human connections and talks. So we focus on that, and then we explore, and then we divide the different styles and different listeners and learners, so that the AI app will be actually applicable when, even if they're stranded, there's no one around them that can save their lives. We have faced a lot of different people facing depressions around the world, people ending their lives. Sometimes it's because they have no one to talk to. Now, there's someone that they can trust. It's the AI technology without any privacy and privacy leakage. So that's where they go in. So these 2 talks are my first sequels, and then actually there's third and fourth already planned already. But I look forward that I still need to check my time.
And can you give us a little sneak peek or preview about what you're planning on talking about in your third and fourth talks?
I actually want to talk about the third one is mainly about how I turn something that is my hobby into a passion for life. Because there are many people who are being judged by the societies, just like the first one, which is basically about what we do, now about how we become. So the third one is actually focusing on that growth part. And it's actually elaboration of, because my original job is in the legal sector. I work in the legal sector before. And then it changed. And then that time I was working for 4 different types of jobs. one in legal, one in corporate, one as a coach, one as a contestant. So 4. So even as a contestant, I work as a job. When I define that as a job before, because like at least I earn some prize money. That's where I'm going for. But yeah, but then the thing is, that is kind of a job for me. The prize pool money is attractive, the scholarship, the internship. Why not? Let's go for it. And then these 4 things are part of it. And then after which I turn public speaking into my lifelong journey. So I actually plan to talk about that. And also more on the 3.0 or 4.0 about the future of public speaking, like holographic technology, AI metaverse. It's not just there. In the future, there will be like even more of an interactiveness. It makes someone as if they were there. So you can actually touch that person. So that's where I'm going. And also working in terms of helping people who are in vegetable state, people who can't talk anymore. Basically, some people are in coma, or people who are vegetable state. We want to save families. So that's where I'm working on right now on public speaking.
Perfect. Amazing. Wow. What an inspirational man. Really, really sounds phenomenal what you're intending and what you are doing. Is there anything else that you would like to tell our listeners, about what you've got up and coming, or what your plans are? I know you've got talks coming up, but is there anything you'd like to give our listeners and viewers to take away from today?
I think the first thing to be on that stage itself, the first key rule is everywhere is a stage. Very basic rule. Everywhere, it means that even if you're talking to your best friend, it's a stage. They are listening to you. As long as there's someone listening to you, there is a stage for it. That's the first key rule for everyone listening right now. If you're wondering where your stage is, if there's someone listening to you, looking at you, that's your stage. Don't worry about the others not looking at you, as long as there's one person looking at you. That's all. Even if you look yourself in the mirror, talking to yourself, it's still a stage, okay? So we call it the inner dialogue. So that's first one. Number 2 is once you actually dare to share, you're actually creating connections. Share to connect. So speaking wise, in terms of stories wise, some people create their stories in a very amazing tales that can be shared with people. We don't need to do that first. It's just about how you turn stories and make it come to life so that people can really feel it as if they were there. And then we know your audience, know your craft, and then we also kind of like how do you connect with people, connecting with different techniques. But you don't need to really focus on techniques first. Focus on telling them the truth, telling them what you really feel, telling them how you plan this thing. It's that simple. Some people mistaken that public speaking storytelling is that you have fluent English, great vocabularies, great stamina, confidence. No, it's just about you. It's you. So if you're wondering if you're going next time to a stage, even if you're doing corporate trainings, talks, just be yourself, just share. Now, then we move on to if you want to go for different stages, there are like TEDx stage, there are different stages around the world. Contest-wise, join it, compete with it. Maybe you learn something. Maybe you actually make a new friend. And then remember, most of contests around the world is less than 35 years old, the age limit. Now I'm actually past that age, so I can't join anymore. So you can join it. You can join the contest. Now that's number 1. If you're going for a tag stage wise, there are a couple of ways to do so. But first, tag stage is different from other platforms itself. It's really about your idea.
Amazing.
Your idea that actually creating the impact of.
Listen, thank you so much, Aaron, for all your expertise and wisdom. It's been an absolute pleasure to you. Guys, if you're watching live, I'd love some feedback. Let you know if you've got any questions for Aaron, or what you've taken away from all the really empowerment chat that we've just had. Aaron, thank you so much for your time today. It's been an absolute pleasure. And yeah, all the best. Thank you. Right, guys. So our next speaker that we have today is Mark Guy. So Mark is an in-demand executive communication coach and TEDx speaker. He's an expert in body language, leadership development, and persuasive communication. Mark is a frequent keynote speaker on sales, storytelling, and empowerment, high-performance goal achievement, and authentic leadership. So without further ado, Mark, are you there?
Yes, Naomi. Thank you. Hello,
Perfect.
everyone.
Thank you so much. So I'm gonna let you lead the floor and tell everyone about your journey into kind of becoming a TEDx speaker, what you spoke about, and it's over to you.
Thank you, Naomi. My speaking journey, I've been speaking since I was 4 years old. My mom tells me, I always ask her questions. Why is this? Why is that? Why is this? This is a story she tells me. I'm a firstborn in my family. As a firstborn, you become a reluctant leader, a chauffeur, babysitter, a cook. You have to help everyone in your family and help with your siblings. So I was always speaking, telling stories to my brothers and sisters. Some of them listened, some of them did not. The way I came into a professional speaking is I used to live in Northeast United States in Philadelphia. My marriage fell apart and I became without a home, without a job, and without a relationship. So I moved to Florida, sunny Florida, the peninsula of eternal sunshine in the United States. And I found my way I actually find a lot of time to myself. Didn't have a job, didn't have a lot of things going on, and I just spent about 6 months by myself, didn't speak to anyone. And in that time, while I was alone, I wasn't lonely. I was rediscovering my voice, my ideas, my thoughts. And after 6 months of not speaking to anyone, I joined the local speaking club and then entered one speech contest, another speech contest that led to traveling the world, traveling the United States, speaking at schools, libraries, halfway houses, churches, youth groups, everywhere I could speak. I said, yes, I'll be your speaker. Can you speak about this topic? Yes, I can learn it by tomorrow. I don't recommend it. You better maybe have 1 or 2 ideas. It's always easier to find a new audience than to find a new topic. But at that time, I was hungry to get on stage, to get my muscle memory and overcome this shyness, this lack of confidence. And with every speech, I was able to mold myself into the speaker I am today and now as a coach. And eventually came to TEDx and then publishing a book. And now we have a speaking company that we coach other speakers and entrepreneurs specifically on messaging.
That sounds incredible. And what has been your biggest empowerment to becoming a speaker? I mean, obviously you've just told us your story. I mean, what do you ever feel you lack confidence sometimes, or?
Absolutely, I lack confidence. Of course. I joined Toastmasters. If anyone is a Toastmasters worldwide, in the first meeting, I walked into this boardroom at a local airport, and everyone was, well dressed and well spoken. And I'm thinking, like, who are these people? Why do they speak so well? I couldn't even put 2 words together. But I said, I'm going to come back with my check, and I'm joining this club no matter what it takes. And I just thought, whatever is your biggest fear, why not face it? If public speaking is your fear, why not face it? A little step by step. For me, I see it as a game. I want to keep playing. I want to see what is the next level. What is the next level of my personal? I want to push myself to the edge of my ability. It can be speaking. It could be something else, but I want to play at the edge. And that's how I keep motivated to speak as well. And also, when you speak, you have to learn and you have to reflect. I'm a lifelong learner. I'm a proud owner of library cards. So I don't spend a lot of money on books, but I check out dozens, maybe 100 books at a time, and I read them all and I create different presentations. When you teach someone something, this is when you learn and then you implement it. So that's why I force myself to read, reconstruct, reflect, and then share with others so I can learn. It's a drug. I'm addicted, I admit.
I love that. And tell our audience about your TED Talks and what was the topic and how did you feel during it all?
Thank you for giving me the advance notice TEDx Talks. It's only one, but I see I have TEDx Talks in my future. This is how it started, right? One of my friends said, Mark, I'm gonna see you at the TEDx stage. And I'm looking at her, it's like, no, that's never gonna happen. And she was right. Sometimes it takes an idea somebody plants in your mind and you're thinking, yes, I can be a TEDx speaker. So perhaps TEDx multiple speaker. The one that I gave a few years ago is a love letter to my family. It's about a journey of my younger brother, his affliction, his growth, and it's about taking leap from fear into action. I gave this talk because I needed this talk. And when I first selected to be one, I started with point A, and then draft number 1, draft number 2, draft number 175. So it was completely different from what I envisioned. But through that process, it forced me to really think deeply about this topic. It's about family. It's about communication. I feel that words have energy, and the way we talk to ourselves, just like Aaron said, and the way we communicate with the audience, it's an energy exchange. And I'm very specific with my word choice, what it leaves, what seeds it plants. So it's about taking the leap from fear to action. That's what my TEDx is. I was sick that day, so if you watch it, don't hold it against me.
Absolutely not. And then if you were looking to do another one in the future, so I've already planted that seed hopefully for you, what topic do you think you would talk about?
Oh, that's a great question. I would talk about relationships between people, between men and women, parents and child, siblings. I would talk about relationships. I would talk about leaving the legacy, perhaps, being an explorer, things like that. How can we achieve while, keeping us human? I have different ideas and I write about them. And as a speaker, as an author, we always write ideas and communicate, and hopefully one of those will become a seed into a full-length TEDx talk. So if I had to answer this question, I would focus on relationships. I was focused on relationships and how we relate to each other and to ourselves. That can be used not just in the United States or in India or in New Zealand, but could be universal relationships between people. That's what I will focus on.
It's a really interesting topic, absolutely. And finally, is there anything you'd like to add, for our viewers and listeners today who are perhaps thinking of they would like to engage in the journey to become a TEDx speaker themselves? What advice could you give them?
One thing is I take this approach as a coach is when somebody comes to my world or a company, they start somewhere and they may have a lot of ideas or a lot of fears and a lot of obstacles that they have created in their own mind, saying my story or my message is boring. People will tune away, and they program themselves, maybe on purpose, maybe it's some kind of plot, I don't know, but they tell themselves, oh, this is not good, this is not interesting, 90% of the time. And I tell them, okay, let's start with very basics. Let's start with where you are and just see how it goes. Because it is a process. It's a building process. You cannot master something in one day. You cannot reflect on something immediately. It takes time. It takes reflection. It takes guidance. It takes practice. It takes, it takes blood, sweat, and tears, and crying. I don't know, whatever, tantrums, whatever it takes. It's emotional. It's emotional range of a human. So give yourself patience and grace, and make sure you find the best mentors that support you. Be coachable, but find the best mentors. Listen to them. Because I find that if you listen to somebody who is not very, who hasn't accomplished what you want to accomplish, it's very hard for you to implement. But focus on somebody who has done what you want. Pay any price. And I'm not talking about just money, energy, presence, whatever it is. Pay any price to be great mentor, so you can focus on that. Because I think bad advice can set you back years. And you're thinking like, why did I listen to this person? What is the story? Focus on the right mentors. And that's what I would say.
100%. Time is valuable. You've got to watch how you spend it, huh?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Listen, Mark, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you today. And if you'd like to get to know Mark a little bit better, his details will be in our Global Speakers Talk platform. Thank you so much, Mark. And listen, good luck with the next TEDx talk.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. It's a pleasure.
Take care. So I hope we're enjoying the summit, wherever you are. I'd love to see what you guys think. Drop in the comments below on our live. Next, we have Sean Douglas. And Sean, is Sean there? Do we have Sean in our participants? Let's see. Sean's going to be last with us today. Okay. So in that case, we're going to have Brittany next. Now, Brittany is the president and founder of the SD Gunner Fund, which was established in June 2014 to assist veterans, first responders, and special needs children with the financial expense of obtaining and maintaining much needed service animals. Wow. She is a Lincoln Award winner, and she lives her life with influencing disabled veterans by being a caregiver. She's also a team player in the military family world, and she was recognised by the Georgia Senators Hill of Six, Duggan on the 30th and Harbison. Whoa, sorry, let's start that one again. She's been recognised by Georgia Congressman Rick Allen and Governor Nathan Deal, and she's and sorry, I'm getting all jumbled up here. Let's start that again. And she does lots and lots of work with veterans. Sorry, Brittany, are you there? And you come.
Yes, hi, I'm here.
Brittany?
Having me.
Hi, the floor is yours. Tell our lovely audience all about the amazing work you do. And I apologize for getting all tongue-tied there.
You're totally fine. So hi, I'm Brittany Kynard. I run a nonprofit called the SD Gunner Fund. We train service animals for veterans, first responders, and special needs children. We also provide an array of assistance outside of that for those same three categories of veterans, first responders, and special needs children. Outside of that, I also travel the United States and Canada teaching ADA classes and HUD regulation classes that talk about the rules and regulations and what's legal and not legal when having a service animal versus a emotional support animal or a therapy dog, because there's a big confusion there. Outside of that, I also, on the side, from my job as a nonprofit, I travel and speak about military caregivership and also caregivership in general. I come at it from a different approach because I myself became a caregiver at 28 years old after my husband was hit by a bomb while serving in Iraq. And a lot of people, when you use the term caregiver, they instantly think of your grandparents or your parents helping their parents, or they automatically think of dementia or Alzheimer's. And the key word is when you say caregiver, they think elderly people. And there's a whole sector of people just like me that are in that range between 18 and 49 years old who kind of get lost in the system, who don't have access to programs that are government funded or insurance funded or nonprofit organizations because we're, not old enough to be caregivers and our situations do not apply. So I do travel and I speak a good bit about the effects that being an unpaid caregiver has on a family, financially, mentally, and all the above.
Amazing. And how you're incredibly inspirational for me. Your story resonates from being a care manager once upon a time. So yeah, tell our audience kind of, what it is that you speak about and how it's led you on this journey to be essentially, a TEDx speaker yourself.
Well, I don't think I had the normal journey to becoming a speaker. It never was something I woke up and was like, hey, this is what I want to do, but after being in the nonprofit sector for over 10 years, I'm used to getting up in front of people and talking and telling our nonprofit story. But the more I traveled and the more I spoke, the more people were like, we want to hear your story. And I was like, there's nothing really impressive about my story, and it's one of those things where the more I got in front of people, the more they resonated with my struggles and my family struggles and how we lived off of minimal income because we didn't have assistance from the military, from the VA, from, of course, if you're in the United States, the VA is the Veterans Administration. And all these programs that are supposed to take care of our military and their families and how we kind of fell through the cracks. And the more I started telling the story, the more I realized how many people, and you don't have to be military, you could be someone who has had a family member get diagnosed with cancer at an early age, or had a family member be catastrophically wounded due to a car accident. Doesn't matter how you became a caregiver, but how many of us go unpaid. And I had to leave my corporate job where I made six figures, where I had a great income, to simply care for my husband. And it takes a toll. So I was talking to some people and they were like, you really should do TEDx. And I was like, I don't really know about that. And that was probably in November of last year. And then January of this year, I ended up in Montana at a TEDx event telling our story.
Wow.
And it was absolutely amazing, but it was probably not the most conventional way of getting into TEDx. But having to be on stage and to tell the story, was really inspiring, nerve-wracking, probably had a mental breakdown there. just because A, I'm not used to being in front of that many people, and B, I wasn't used to having to memorize the entire speech. Usually I have my notes, and it was definitely an experience I would recommend for everyone. And it was an experience that would forever, change my world. I've been speaking now. I've been on here several times. I've been in several entities around the United States since January. I'm staying booked pretty regularly, and it's been amazing. But again, I don't think my journey to TEDx was probably, your atypical journey. So.
But what a freaking journey. Wow. Like absolutely incredible, and what a powerhouse of a woman. And what advice could you give to other people when wanting to embark and tell their story, or to if it is to become a TEDx speaker, or if it's just to share? What advice could you give?
Well, a lot of it I would probably revert back to some points that Mark brought up, as well as Aaron, is just you got to go for it. You might sink, you might swim, you might bob, who knows? But you've got to jump off that ledge and go for it. The biggest thing I can say is, in my preparation for TEDx, I was trying to be very formal. I watched a ton of TEDx videos. I was watching these, videos that had 2 to 3 million views, and I was trying to form myself around that. And that's just not me. I'm very Southern. I'm very kind of in your personal space. There's a lot of me to deal with. And so me trying to have to form myself into that, it wasn't working. I ended up partnering with an amazing company out of Tel Aviv called Virtuoso. They help TEDx and TED speakers. So I sat down with them, and, they kind of made me realize, they were like, dude, just be yourself, like sell your personality, sell yourself. And I'm the kind of person that half the time I get up on stage and I wing it, which is not the best advice for people. Just going to go ahead and tell you that, but that's where I operate well, and I'm going to wing it. But when they walked me through how to more or less just put my thoughts into categories and then tell that story, people are going to like the story because they like me. They're going to like the story because they like my personality, or they like my the way I talk, or how animated I am. There's lots of reasons. Or they're going to like it because they resonate with what I've been through. It doesn't have to be formal. You don't have to be all, cold and presented and etc. They want to feel like you are a normal human being in front of them, and that is the biggest thing. Just get up there and do you, and don't worry about what anybody else thinks. Don't worry about if it's a flop or if it's a great hit, because you never know who in the crowd is watching. And it may just take that one person that's like, you know what, she was funny. I like her. Like, I want to talk to her. Or they're going to be like, oh my gosh, that was the most interesting thing I've seen, but I'm interested in her. It just depends on where you stand. And it's not a formality. It's not something that you've got to break your back over. Again, just get up there and do you, and tell your story, and the emotion behind your story. They're going to feel that, and how you believe in that. Caregiving is not an exciting topic. It's not, it's taking care of people. But when you start talking about the impacts it has on your family and the financial strain that it has on your families. And the financial strain, because that's one thing in my TEDx talk I spoke about, was not just America, but all countries. According to the International Caregiver Alliance, how many countries are struggling with family members that are unpaid caregivers? And all these things, you begin to tie it all together, and it begins to resonate, and everybody goes, oh, this isn't just an American problem. Oh, this isn't just a Canadian problem. Oh, this isn't just an Indian problem. It's everybody's problem. And so when you can tie all of that together, your speech will reach more people and impact more lives than what you originally anticipated.
You're hitting all the buttons for me, Brittany, from being in the care sector and seeing where we're at universally and internationally when it comes to care and caregiving. So what could you just some final thoughts, what could you tell our viewers and our listeners today, who are thinking of perhaps becoming a coach or just really looking to get into speaking? I know we've just touched upon kind of how you got to becoming a TEDx speaker. What final thoughts could you give them?
I would say get in front of as many people as possible, whether it's your friends at your house and you're all having beers, or whether you're getting in front of just a small local, try your local chapters, like your Rotary clubs, your exchange clubs, your Toastmaster clubs. But the biggest thing is be coachable. It's very uncomfortable to get in front of somebody and then be like, okay, that was terrible. And you've got to be able to take that and not get mad, not get offended, and be like, okay, how do we fix it? And so it's kind of, you've got to be able to take constructive criticism, which is difficult for some people, and especially in today's world. We don't like to hear that we're not it, and so it's kind of, you got to be able to take that, but find people that you also don't find yes people. Find people that will challenge you. I have a bad/good habit of, I like to surround myself with people who are going to ask me the most uncomfortable questions that I do not want to answer. And that is their job. Their job is to make me uncomfortable and to make me answer those questions. Because if I'm just surrounded by people who are like, oh my gosh, you're great, you're so good, you're so, I'm not going to grow from that. I need that person that says, no, we're not doing this. And so be coachable, be in front of people, start small, your chambers, your Rotaries, your exchange clubs. Rotary's an international organization. You can always get in front of them and talk.
Yeah.
Toastmasters, same thing. But yeah, just be coachable and be approachable for people.
Oh, I love all of this. So this is my first host gig since having my little boy 4 months ago, and I've been sitting before today being like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to do this. But everything you've just said, everything you've all said, I'm like, yes, I'm feeling buzz. Listen, Brittany, it has been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. I wish you all the best going forward in everything you do. And thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wow, guys, I hope you're enjoying the summit as much as I am presenting it today. I'd love to know in the comments what you guys are thinking, where you're tuning in from. So next we have Yorona, and Yorona is an advanced certified life coach, a certified speaking coach, and a public speaker in the areas of parenting, loss, trauma, infertility, and public speaking. She's worked and studied in the fields of early childhood development, the psychology of human development, and her life coaching she's been doing for over 17 years. Now, Yorona is also an accomplished TEDx speaker. And in addition to her parenting podcast, I think I need this, by the way, and the series, The Evolution of Parenting, her parenting book, Unspoken Signals, it will revolutionize the way that we learn essential skills to raise emotionally secure children. I definitely need to read these books and listen to this podcast. As the daughter of a Holocaust survivor and having suffered acute losses and multiple traumas, Yorona believes we are all trying to live a life of purpose in the finite time we have left. So Yorona, it is an absolute pleasure to speak with you today. How are you doing?
I'm good. My apologies if I cough, because I've got that lingering one that just won't go. So yeah, it's fun.
Amazing. Listen, I'm going to let the floor be yours and tell all our lovely listeners of yours all about your amazing self.
So it's interesting. I get called a Renaissance woman a lot because I dabble in so much, but really what it all comes down to is the dabbling of humans and human connection and how we develop as human beings, where we find our life's purpose and our life's journey in the finite time we have here. I talk about the topic that nobody really wants to touch on, loss and the ultimate loss. And what I came to realize, I grew up as a Holocaust survivor's daughter. So very early on, I understood that there was something about humans where there can be great suffering, those who wish to inflict great suffering, and those who rise higher than they ever possibly thought they could to help those who are suffering. I would not be sitting here today if it weren't for the absolute amazingness of pure strangers who saved my father. And I think that that is a testament to humanity. It's a testament to the human resilience. And we can choose to see all the problems of the world, or we can choose to focus on the good stuff and try to make those things better and try to really progress the rest of the way the world functions. And one of my goals is to help parents really parent their children so that those children can become the next generation of world changers, to continuously be progressing the world. And I think one of the hardest things as a parent is to come to the realization, and I'm going to say this, for those parents who believe this, I hope you don't take offense, but your child is not your purpose in life. Your goal as a parent is to help guide your child to finding their purpose. Your goal as a human is to find your own purpose. And so you can do those two things simultaneously. And I think we forget that. And a lot of parents, and because of the field I've been in for so many years, a lot of parents are like, but my job is to protect my child. My job is to make sure they have everything they need. And I'm going to tell you, you're wrong. Your job isn't to protect your child. Your job is to help your child learn how to protect themselves and give themselves what they need. And, you know, having experienced 10 years of infertility struggles, I didn't think I was going to have a child. After my last ectopic pregnancy, my husband and I said, "Hun, it's been 10 years. I just had another ectopic pregnancy and lost my right fallopian tube during the emergency surgery. Had 3 miscarriages, a failed cycle of IVF that cost us $20,000. And in between all of that, lost so many other human beings and loves people of my life and was a caregiver to them. So I know what Brittany talks about when she talks about caregiving, having taken care of my parents until their last breaths. And what I came to realize was that I have a purpose. With or without children, I have a purpose. And I got to keep working that purpose. And I found a place of hope, not that I'd become a parent, but that I could make my life's purpose mean something in the finite time I have. And that's what I was driven to do. And, you know, where I come from in the world of early childhood, but specifically with babies from birth to 3 with developmental delays and disabilities, those parents are going through a host of issues because they're feeling guilt, they're feeling pain, they're feeling like they did something wrong and how can they make it better? And it's a very painful place to be. And it's scary. Being a parent is one of the scariest, least rewarding, but most amazing roles you'll ever have. But it's not your only role in the world. And when we can find that place simultaneously, it's a beautiful thing. And then we got lucky, miraculously, and my son decided he was going to stick around. So I decided, okay, now what? And I want to be the best support system he can be to push him out of the nest and let him fly on his own. And that's really where I am. And so I talk about loss in parenting, and I know it's the craziest thing to talk about, but I do. And what I tend to ask my clients, especially my parenting clients, is, as a parent, what is the one thing you want to know before you leave this world? So I'd ask you that, Naomi, even though your parenting role is pretty fresh.
Oh, wow. You said something about loss and you know, and birth, and they kind of go hand in hand, I guess, because when we think of birth, we're like, oh yeah, we're going to bring this beautiful bundle in the world, but I've lost myself. Who the hell am I? And that's kind of where I have been the last couple couple of months, just recently returned back to work. You know, I'm a managed therapist, I'm a coach like yourself, and postgraduate student, and trying to put all these hats on. And it's like, who the hell and what the hell, and a guilt and shame. So, oh my goodness, like I'm listening to you and I'm like, oh, you've put me on the spot now. But yeah, it's crazy. And
Well,
I
if you don't have an answer, I'll tell you the answer I get most often, which is, I want to know my children will be okay without me.
Yeah.
You know, that,
but
and
that is, you want to know that they're okay. Absolutely.
yeah. And so I always tell
Yeah.
parents that you have to start with that end goal in mind. You really do. You have to take the understanding that you're not going to be there one day, which means that you can't protect them from everything. We have a saying in the world of parenting and childhood and early childhood development. It's, we prepare the child for the road, not the road for the child. Because we don't know what's coming around the corner. We don't know. So that's where I came from. And that's what I realized. And especially in my field, I saw a lot of parents trying to bubble wrap their children from every life hurdle and every life pain. And I started to see that loss isn't just a thing that happens eventually down the road, some ethereal thing. They're actually foundational losses that we actually hit at various points in our lives. When you're little, usually the losses are small, usually the loss of a toy because it broke your favorite toy, the loss of a good grade, even though you studied hard, not getting into the after school program you wanted, not getting the job you wanted, not getting into the college you wanted, maybe losing a relationship, losing a job, but they all lead to the inevitable loss, the loss of a loved one. So how do we prepare for that? We cannot protect somebody from the inevitable losses of their lives. But what we can do is give them teaching tools and skills and strategies for how to become more resilient and more emotionally secure and stable, so that it's not to say that they are just going to shrug off those losses, but rather that they're going to learn how to healthfully process them and then move forward in their lives. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow, absolutely. And I mean, you are incredible with everything that you're doing and all these different hats and roles that you possess within your job and within being a mother. How did this lead you to becoming a TEDx speaker then?
Yeah, so it's interesting. My father used to speak a lot about the Holocaust, and I have never been a person at a loss for words. My father wasn't either. In fact, on his headstone, we came up with a very funny thing to put on it: a man never at a loss for words, because it was important for my father to have a part of that. And that's me too. I developed that gene, and I love to talk to people. And honestly, I love to share the stories, because that's where the human connection is. And when I realized that, I said, maybe there's a way I could share those stories in a bigger way to help humans reconnect with each other, because what I see is a whole lot of human to human disconnection. We have a global connectivity, but we very rarely connect on that human to human level. We're so busy with our devices and our faces. And I said, well, what can I do? What can I do? So I said, well, I really want to do more. And when you work in a field where there's, state and public policies kind of pushing you down, I was like, okay, what do I do? So I jumped into coaching, and I got my certifications and everything. And then I found a really amazing program, Thought Leader. And I now I work with them now as one of their certified speaker coaches as well, working with other people to land and deliver their talks. And what I came to realize was it's in the stories. Those are where the lessons are. It's in the stories. We cannot share information and get through to people nearly as much as when we share stories, because there's a thing we call the emotional contagion that happens. And that is when you're sharing a story and it's an emotional story for you, it resonates from the heart to other people's stories. It resonates on a deeper feelings place, right? It's easy to say, okay, this is what I'm thinking logically. Here's what I talk about when I talk about child development and the early domains of child development, and this is how the brain is developing, and da 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 da. But when I explain to people that putting a device in front of a toddler for a long time is like giving that toddler a drug, because that's what the research now shows. Would you give your baby heroin? Okay, now that changes it, because that's a story. That's relatable. That's a metaphor. That's something like, What are you talking about? I never give my child a drug. Okay, well, then you need to reduce the amount of devices you put in front of them because you're hitting the same receptors in the brain as drugs and alcohol. It changes when we tell stories. It changes when we connect the human side of that learning and that knowledge that we have. And so that's how I found myself on the stage, because I was driven to do that. And honestly, that imposter syndrome, and I know Aaron talked about it earlier, and like, it's true. It's really true. And what's so funny is, the night before my talk, and it was a virtual talk at the time, because when I landed it, we were still in that weird space of kind of from COVID and everything. And they gave me the opportunity to do one or the other. And I said, okay, I'll do the virtual thing because I have a young child and people around me immunocompromised. So the night before, though, I found out that Elon Musk, Al Gore, and Bill Gates were going to be in the same, like the same event. And I was like, okay, what am I doing here? And my husband said to me, honey, just remember, and I'm gonna not say a curse word, but he said, just remember, they all use the bathroom. And that helped me. It helped me because I was like, oh yeah, he's right. We're all human. And the thing is, every single human being has a lesson in them and has a story in them. And maybe they have 10,000 stories. And so it's really just about finding the story that helped you discover something you needed to teach other people. And that's what helped me get to the stage. So, yeah. And I have more in me. I've been on a different trajectory right now with all that I'm doing. So I have a lot more to give, and I keep being told to do another stage, do another one. And I will. I have another thing to tell a lot of people, but first there's other things to do.
You must. Oh, Yorona, I could speak to you all day in relation to motherhood specifically, but that's not the time. But yes, imposter syndrome, I've got it. I've had it right now all the talk today, to be honest, speaking to all you amazing coaches and speakers. And just finally, what advice could you give our viewers and listeners today, in regards to speaking and TEDx talks? What could you suggest?
Sure, yeah. So when we communicate with people, especially on the TEDx stage, there are two things that we have to think about. We have to think about the emotion behind the story. What emotion are we trying to convey? And what intention are we giving with that story? So if you want to tell a story about your pets and how they were your lifeline, and you're telling us that story, what's your emotion and what's the intention? And if you can combine those two things, and you know what emotion you're trying to convey and the point, the purpose of that particular story, you can land just about any kind of information for people, and you can connect with them through that emotional contagion. Hopefully that'll help people who want to land on a stage.
Thank you so much, Yorona, and all the best in your future endeavors.
Thank you.
Hello. Oh, Sean is a US Air Force retired TEDx speaker, founder of Mass Resilience Implementer, and international host of Create, Launch, Monetize podcast, best-selling author. Sean, are you in with us now?
Yes.
Hello. So the floor is all yours. It's lovely to meet you. Tell our viewers and listeners all about your amazing, incredible experiences as a speaker and yourself.
Well, thank you very much. So I've done 3 TEDx talks, and I work with other speakers who want to become a TEDx speaker. And I've been speaking since 2009. I was a drill instructor in the military, and I learned how to train, coach, speak, mentor, all of that. And then I decided that in 2014, there was a resilience program that was going through the military. They were really concerned about PTSD, and like that was all of the research coming out, like all at that time. And so they asked me, said, hey, you're a pretty good speaker and trainer, and would you want to become one of our resilience trainers? And I was like, yeah, let's do that. So I did that 2015. I led the program until 2019, and I was also the installation's lead suicide awareness trainer. And so we taught mental, physical, social, and spiritual resilience skills. And we would do certain events, or we would like train other people on how to deliver these skills. And so in 2016, I was like, I'm going to do that. Like, I love this. I'm going to do this as like my job or as a career. So that's what I did. And in 2016, I wrote my first book. 2017, I launched my radio show called Life Transformation Radio. Sold that in 2021. And then I was a TEDx speaker in 2017, became a TEDx speaker again in 2020 when the pandemic was going on, and the event that I was supposed to be speaking at became a virtual event. And then I just delivered my third TEDx talk over at Lake Superior State University in Michigan on how to stop veteran suicide and how to support veterans after service, which is a lot of what I talk about because I retired from the military after 20 years in 2021.
Wow.
And now I have 3 podcasts that I host, and I co-host a 4th.
Amazing. And what did you find the biggest limitations, in, oh, hello. What have you found your biggest kind of limitations when it's come to all these accolades?
What are my limitations?
Yeah, what do you feel that the biggest setbacks have been for you during these times? Has it been a lack of confidence? Is it,
No, not for me. I say the only limitations I have is I want to do everything, and I can't do everything. Like, I want to do everything. Like, I want to speak at that event and that one and that one and that one. And like, I want to do all this stuff. I want to have all the podcasts. I want to do all the books. I want to do all the events. But like, you just can't, you know what I mean? So it's hard for me. Like I look at certain events. I'm like, okay, yeah, I would like to speak there, and then I go and speak there. I'm, okay, where's the next one? Like, I want one all the time because it's what I love to do, but like, it takes a lot of energy to be a speaker, like on stage, because you have to give so much of yourself. And you have to like dive into the deepest parts of your soul sometimes, especially if you're at like a resilience event or a suicide awareness event or something that's really impactful and emotional. Anybody can go to Funnel Hacking Live and talk about how they're like a millionaire and whatever. But like, when you go to these certain events that are like really emotional, it takes a lot out of you. And so I'm usually at the end of the day, like I'm exhausted. I may have spoken for an hour, hung out with a bunch of people, traveled a little bit, but I'm emotionally exhausted and drained because I've given all of myself to the stage.
Mm-hmm. How do you prepare yourself for, a TEDx talk? And then how do you decompartmentalize after, if you put so much energy and time and compassion into something, how do you come down from that?
Yeah. How I prepare for the TEDx talk is like any other talk. It's something called blocking. So I'm actually a stage actor as well, like in theater. And I suggest every single speaker go act in a play. Just do it. I don't care what role you play. I don't care if you're a tree. Go act in a play, because you're going to learn something called blocking. And in blocking, you have a script, and it'll say, okay, when you say this line, I want you to fall to your knees, or I want you to reach your hand out, or I want you to whatever. And so when I deliver my talks, I block out my talk. And how I prepare it is, okay, I'm going to deliver my first line, and then I'm going to pause. And I write in, like, I'm going to pause. And so I'm basically write my own theater script whenever I'm going to deliver my talk on stage. I know that at the end of my talk, I'm going to walk over to the right side. I'm going to pick out one person. I'm going to do this and this. I'm going to go to the center of the stage. I'm going to deliver this line. I'm going to extend my arm out, or I'll go like this and put my arms up, or I'll do something, like there's everything in my talk is strategic and there for a reason, because I blocked it in. And I learned that by acting. As far as coming down and decompartmentalize, I don't. I don't. I reflect. I look back at, and it's funny though, whenever you come off a stage, and I think every speaker has felt this moment where you come off a stage, it was like, man, that was really good. Oh, I forgot to say this one thing. Dang it. Like you come off stage and you look around and you're like, can I just jump back up there and say this one line that I knew? I can't forget this line. I can't forget this line. And then you're so in the moment and everybody gives you an applause or a standing ovation, whatever. And you're like, yeah, thank you. You walk off stage, you're like, oh, I didn't even tell him this one thing. Oh. And it was like the one thing you had to deliver. Like if you forget all of your talk, don't forget this one line, but you forget the one line. Yeah. That's me coming off stage like, oh, I just thought of something. I could have told them this, or oh man, I forgot that one line. Oh man, they'll never know. You'll know and you'll agonize over it, but they'll never know.
And what advice could you give someone who is wanting to become a speaker, wanting to become a TEDx talk speaker themselves?
Get out of your own way. If you're a speaker, you have to get out of your own way. A lot of what I coach on is creating a signature talk. And part of the signature talk is the feeling of the talk. The talk is a living, breathing part of you. Every word that you deliver has meaning. Every word that you deliver has power. Words have power. Words have meaning. And so if you reframe your mind where you're standing there ready to get on stage, you're like, oh, my palms are sweating. I'm so nervous. You're not nervous. You're excited. You're not nervous. You're happy. Like if you reframe the emotions that you feel, like, oh man, I'm going to bomb. Oh man, I'm so nervous. Like the nervousness comes from judgment of the crowd, judgment of yourself, judgment of the event planner, especially if it's a paid gig. Like if it's like $5,000, $7,000, $10,000, you have to perform. It's a lot of pressure for people. So just reframe the emotion. And this goes for anything, not just speaking, like in life. If you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous, but why am I nervous? I'm excited. I'm expectant. I am blessed. Like reframe the emotion that you're feeling into something more positive that is not judgmental. And I guarantee you'll see a difference in the way that you perform on stage as a speaker, as a performer, actor, whatever it is that you're doing in front of a crowd of people. If you reframe those emotions, those negative emotions that you're feeling into more positive ones, I guarantee you will not fail.
Oh, I love this, reframing things. Since becoming a mum 4 months ago, like I have just been on this quest where I don't really know who the freaking hell I am, what's going on. I've done lots of speaking, lots of coaching, run a business, blah, blah, blah. But now it's like different. Absolutely. So, coming on here, I was like, whereas now I'm feeling a little bit more calmer, but I love this. And then finally, what could the audience take away from you today in relation to speaking, in relation to everything that you do? It just sounds incredible.
Figure out the one thing. Like everybody wants to do everything, right? I want to be this and this and this, and that's great. But I started out as speaking. And then what was the next evolution? Well, I guess I should be an author. Now I'm a 2-time best-selling author and I help other people become authors. I speak. Now I help other people speak. Like I didn't just come out the gate going, I do everything. Like you cannot be everything to everyone. You just have to be everything to someone. And that's life, relationships, everything. You have to be everything to someone. Someone in the audience is looking for what you're going to deliver. Someone in the audience is looking for a savior or the one unlock. They're there for a reason. And so my advice, like if you want to get into speaking, just do it. But only pick one thing that you talk about. Become an expert in one thing. Do one thing at a time. Then become an author. Then become a podcaster, then become whatever it is that you want to do, but master one thing and do it well. And sometimes I hear like you have to make $100,000 from the one thing before you give your permission to do the other thing. Just master the one thing and then start adding in all of the other things that you do.
Wow. Wow. Absolutely incredible. And I couldn't agree more with you. Well, listen, Sean, I love your energy. So in your face with energy. Love it. And I wish you all the best in your future endeavors and for your next talk, next gig, next podcast. Thank you so much for your time today. Well, that has been an absolute blast, ladies and gentlemen. If you've been tuning in today on our live, or if not on our replay, and remember, # replay, what an honor it's been hosting today. And I really hope that you've taken some information, some golden nuggets away from today's summit. I'd love to know in the comments on our live what you thought. And once again, you know, Global Speaker Talks, we are an international platform, a special place where we can share our voice and be heard by people, you know, globally. Global Speaker Talks, we're here to inspire and transform you through amazing virtual events like today. It's been an absolute honor being back post baby. So thank you so much to the Global Speaker Talk team for having me, and thank you so much to our guests today. And on a closing note, if you are interested in becoming a coach, a speaker yourself, then please reach out to our fabulous guests that we had today, as well as Global Speakers Talk itself. So to everyone who's watching, whether it's live or replay, take care and thank you again. And thank you to all our amazing guests. It's been an absolute honor and privilege, one I won't be forgetting anytime soon. Thank you guys, and all the best.